Welcome to Faith Journey. On this channel, I share biblical messages on the Christian walk. So whether you're new to the Christian faith, or maybe you're further along in your personal journey, this space exists for the building of your faith, for spiritual growth, and hopefully you'll be encouraged along the way. Today I'm talking about passing through. So I love the Psalms, and the particular Psalm I'm in today is Psalm 84. There's a wonderful verse in Psalm 84. I'll just read it. It's Psalm 84, verse 5 and 6. So verse 5 says, "Blessed are those whose strength is in you, who have set their hearts on pilgrimage. As they pass through the valley of Baca, they make it a place of springs." The truth of the matter is, in the Christian life, in our walk as Christians, we'll all go through some things. There's some experiences that we all have. Whether we like it or not, they're difficult things that we'll come across. And in this particular psalm, they're related to as valleys. We'll all walk through some kind of valley as long as we're under the sun. And it's not exciting to be in a difficult place. It's not exciting to be in a dark place. However, the longer you live, you know that there are things that you go through in this life. But there's hope for the Christian. There's hope for the Christian. There's hope for the believer. Just as this psalm says, that as they pass through the valley of Baca, as a child of God, you need to understand that when you go through something, whatever you're dealing with in your life, you need to understand that you're passing through. It's not permanent, whatever it may be. And so the hopeful encouragement here is that whatever it is, however difficult it looks, you do not need to throw in the towel. You do not need to give up on your life or give up on the hopes that you have, because God is with you regardless of what it is. None of us in this life is exempt from difficult circumstances. In the Bible, we have so many examples. One of the most obvious one is probably Job. Job goes through such pain and difficulty in his life, but it was never to say that God was not with him, and God permits him to go through the things he goes through, because it's interesting that when you read in the first chapter of Job, Satan, the devil, has gone up to a meeting that's taking place, and God says to him, "Have you considered my servant Job? Have you considered him?" And so the devil goes, and does what he does, creates havoc in Job's life. But the point being, God has allowed what takes place in Job's life to happen. God has permitted it, even though he's put a hedge around Job, that you can only go so far, but this you cannot do. And so even with us, there are things that God will permit in our lives, which we can then term the valley of Baca. There are things that God will permit, but when all is said and done, this is one of the ways of God, that he's shaping us and he's conforming our characters. He's turning us more into the image of Christ. This is how God shapes us. We don't like to go through certain things, as I've said, but God has his ways, and he says, my ways are not your ways. As the heavens are far above the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways. So God's ways, sometimes they may not please us, but his ways are higher, and his ways have a way of accomplishing in us. His ways have a way of developing our characters, but developing us for his kingdom, making us fit for his kingdom. But why have I read, Psalm 84, this verse about us passing through the valley of Baca, and especially the bit where it says that they make it a place of springs? Because I want you to know today that whatever you're passing through, and that's the good news, is passing through, you can make it a place of springs. In other words, if you understand that God is at work in your life, if you understand that the hand of God is superior to any other hand in your life, if you understand that and you allow God to have his way in developing you, in making you all that he would want you to be, in fitting you for his kingdom, if you understand that, then you can take things that are difficult and you can actually derive meaning from them, because there's meaning in that tough place that you can actually draw out, and that meaning can actually become spiritual nourishment. It can nourish you in that journey. In that way, you start to turn a valley into a spring, because we have to learn how to turn the valleys into our lives into springs. We can't let difficulties and hardships pull us down to the point where we're going nowhere. We have to let the things that come our way actually bring out who we truly are. And it definitely helps if we have an understanding that he that is in us, Christ in us, the hope of glory, that he that is in us is greater than he that is in the world. And so we have this almost like a hidden strength, because God is in us. God is at work in us. For the believer, for the Christian, God is at work in you. And so today I want to say, don't allow whatever your difficulty is to actually pull you down. Look up to Jesus, the author and the finisher of your faith. Let God do his mighty, wonderful work in you, because God will always lead us in the way that is best for us. His ways, which are higher, will always take us where he would want us to be. So learn to take whatever valleys you're facing in your life or dealing with. Learn to derive what the spiritual meaning is from them, and allow them to actually become spiritual nourishment for your journey of faith. So as we walk this journey, just stay focused on God and allow him to be your all in all. See you next time.